Hello, everyone. I thought I would address some critics who often like to say that TikTok is ruining society. Well, my thoughts on this is that people always like to blame new technologies or platforms on the current problems that society is facing. For example, in the 1950s, all the way back then, people blamed television for dumbing down society because people were saying that people were spending too much time watching television and not enough time reading. I mean, there's footage of politicians from that era saying that television is ruining society. The average young person watches 6 hours of television a day. It's dumbing down society. We need to get rid of television. And before that, people were saying in the 40s and 30s and 20s, people were saying that radio was ruining society because people were listening to the news and they weren't reading the news. People were saying, well, people aren't going to read anymore if they can just listen to the news. But then in the television era, the people who had grown up with radio said that radio was superior because you could at least use your imagination because it was an auditory medium, whereas television spoon feeds everything to you. So one of the ironic things is that whenever a new technology comes out, it will get lambasted in the same way that an older technology used to get lambasted, but now it looks more respectable in comparison very often. For example, in the 1980s, people often criticized Gen Xers for watching MTV because they said, well, MTV it moves too fast. It doesn't have a story. It's not like the television of our generation, which was more simple and coherent. So people blame Gen Xers for ruining society because of MTV, and of course, people blamed YouTube for ruining society in the 2000s because people said, well, people are only watching stupid cat videos. It's rotting your mind, and now people are doing the same thing with TikTok. And one of the things you have to be aware of is that yes, there are always negative drawbacks whenever a new technology is created, but new technology and new platforms also have the capability of developing new capacities. So that's something that people definitely have to be aware of. But also new technology. People have to keep in mind that new tech platforms, whatever they are, whether it's movies, television, the internet, whatever, will always cater to the lowest common denominator on the surface. For example, but so if you like will go onto TikTok or YouTube or watch television or anything, the most popular things usually won't be the most educational or uplifting or intellectual, but you have to basically surf past the noise. Blaming TikTok for dumbing down society is like blaming literature because Fifty Shades of Grey was a best-selling book at one time. Platforms aren't inherently anti-intellectual. You have to look for the intellectual things within the platform, and yes, there are always again, like I always said, there are always negative side effects to new technology, but that's why you need a balance to everything. That's why, yes, the critics of TikTok are right in some ways, but also the defenders of TikTok are right in some ways. So it's a very nuanced picture. So people just need to stop blaming new technologies for dumbing down society because it's a much more complex picture than that. And I'm sure that 10 or 15 years from now, when there's a new app or a new technology, people will say, oh, that's ruining society. TikTok, that's when things were well balanced and good. So this is just a tendency that society tends to do, and I think it just needs to stop because it's not helpful in any way.